could just get started with some introductions and kind of an overview of what we're doing here. Thank you all so much for being here. I won't really be saying much. I'll just hope to answer some questions in the chat and save them for after the fact. But it's really nice to see everyone. Thanks for making the time. And I'll let Shalom take it away from here.
Yeah, thanks, Leah. First of all, welcome everybody to the Athletes Connect. I'm super excited to have the guests that we have on today, who we'll introduce here in a second. But I thought I'd just, start off by, explaining we might have some new listeners. We definitely have new guests on the panel. And before we get to know our guests on the panel, I'll just share a little bit about the Athlete Connect and how this all began and why did we do it. And so the overall mission in a nutshell of the Athlete Connect is to basically, the shortest version was to create a platform where the athletes, we can all connect around common trends, right? And how we can mentally, physically, stay competition ready. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know when it is, but we got to try and stay positive, stay competition ready. There's, it's obvious our competitions have been canceled. But the one thing that we as athletes have, and we've, almost inherited these skills through sports, right, is our ability to adapt, right? Whether it's our training methods, our attitude, or our approach to things. So, this whole Athletes Connect is a place where we can share some of our thoughts. We can connect with our teammates, our peers, learn a bit about the guests that we have online. And hopefully a lot of the discussions today will resonate with you, empower you, encourage you to stay positive, keep training. And when our world opens up, man, before you know, we'll be out there again. So again, excited to have everybody on. We got some exciting guests. We got Myron and Kabir, who I'll let them share a little bit about themselves soon. We got Zack and Lamar from the Seattle Sounders. So to all the soccer fans that we have on here, super excited to have these two on and share a little bit about their background, their love for the game, their love for sport, and their love for just the Special Olympics and athletes as a whole. And we're super appreciative to have them on. Speaking of them, Kabir, welcome. Welcome, champion. Glad you could make it.
Yeah.
There he is, the man himself. He came ready. And lastly, Mike Ronan, board member and longtime volunteer with the Special Olympics. Incredible story with Franny, his daughter. So we'll hear all about this in a second. But my intro, a little bit of background for those who haven't met me. My name is Shalom. I'll be facilitating the call today. We got an hour packed with full of information to share. I spent the last 10 years, rugby's my background, and I'm on the board now with Special Olympics. I'm excited about, although our games got canceled, we got the virtual summer games coming up, so we'll share a little bit about how we can stay competition ready for that. So without further ado, why don't we start with you, Kabir? How many medals you got there, champion?
So let's see. Let's talk about swimming. I have so many.
Yay!
Okay. One. Second and fourth place for swimming years ago, and for soccer, I'm going to get 3 bronze.
Wow.
And 2 second, and this year I could go on for basketball. Sorry, I'm not honest. So I just dumped it in a second win.
Nice. So just to recap all those medals for our listeners, you do a bit of swimming, you do soccer. Not only do you participate in them, you're a winner in them, right?
Yep.
Nice. Well done. Myron, you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
About your basketball and track and bowling history?
Mm-hmm. My name is Myron Swimmer. I'm from Mukilteo, Washington, and I play unified basketball and bowling and track. Basketball is my favorite sport. It's because I like to be around with everyone and shooting hoops and getting on that court. And man, we made it state 2 times, and we're second place 2 times in a year straight on. It was just a fun year that I had. In bowling, it was okay bowling, but on track, I love track, but so sad that it was canceled this year. And so, but I'm still exercising as I keep keeping my body shape and ready when the tunnels light out, like Shalom said. So.
Good man. Good man. Is there a particular event that you really enjoy in track?
I love running.
Yep.
I love running 400 meters. It's just the best one. Helps me get all the negative energy out.
Yeah, it sounds tiring to me, Myron. I don't know about you, but good on you, champion. We got our Seattle Sounders guest here, Lamar. So for those, Lamar's not going to share about himself and pipe his own and blow his own horn, but Lamar is a superstar with the Sounders and Tacoma Stars. For our soccer fans who are on here, he's a winger. Lamar, welcome. You want to share a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. No, first of all, thank you for having me on. It's great to be on here with you guys, especially talking about the topic that we are. But I'm from Federal Way, so a local guy. I grew up playing, Boys and Girls Club. I was playing basketball. Myron, I agree with you. Basketball, man, that was my favorite sport. Even though I went pro in soccer, I was a basketball kid through and through. Baseball and soccer at the Boys and Girls Club, and then just worked my way up from there. I wasn't tall enough to make it anywhere in basketball, so I stopped that early. But grew up in Federal Way, and then ended up going to Vegas to play in college, and then got the opportunity to play for the Seattle Sounders with the legendary Zack. So yeah, that's the highlight of my career, being able to play with that guy.
Lamar, thank you very much.
Stop!
Again
Come on.
for being on here. Great segue to introduce former teammate Zack here. Zack, welcome, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a lot of great experience to share, knowledge. In fact, we didn't even have enough time to go through it, man. But Zack is a 15 years with the Seattle Sounders. He's a defender, and he was part of the 2016 championship team. So everybody, join me in welcoming Zack. Zack, thank you for being on here.
Good segue, and I don't agree with anything you said, Lamar, but thanks anyway. Hey everybody, Zack Scott. I played for the Sounders for 15 years. I retired 4 years ago, and had the wonderful opportunity to actually retire as the Sounders won their first championship. Now they're two-time MLS Cup winners. But yeah, I mean, I had a fantastic career. Didn't expect it to last 15 years, but was definitely brought along for the ride by a number of people that helped me become, kind of the player and person that I am today, including the players that I played with, the coaches, my family. I love this topic because I think if we're all realistic with ourselves, we're not successful unless we have people that care and support us. And anybody that says they've done it on their own is severely delusional, because you don't become successful without good people around you as well.
Great point, Zack, and absolutely true. And no better person to I guess speak on that than a parent, Michael, who we have online. Very lucky to join us from Ernst & Young, Special Olympics board member, a very long time, former chair. Michael, welcome. You want to tell us a little bit about your Special Olympics experience and how that relates to our topic today, which, by the way, our topic today is Athlete Support Network. So we'll touch on that in a bit. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, thanks everybody. And the first thing I want to say is that I miss watching all of you on the field doing your sport. Myron, Kabir, I'm looking forward to watching you guys compete again, and everybody else who's on the phone or on the call rather. I think you summed it up well. I couldn't have described my background, Shalom, any better than you have. But I've spent the past 9 years as a board member And what I've loved to see, what I've really enjoyed seeing over the past 9 years is how this organization has grown to be able to support 19,500 athletes. When I joined, it was about 8,000 athletes. And so when I think about the infrastructure that we've created to make all of you as athletes successful and to continue to hone your craft, I'm super proud of the work that the organization and Leah and team have put together. I'm proud about of what the board has done, but more importantly, I'm proud of all of you and what you've done to take those gifts and really make it what it is. You know, I'm a board member. I'm not an athlete like everybody else on the panel, but I'm a corporate athlete. And so watching how my 300,000 teammates around the world have had to shift in COVID and what we've had to surround them with from a team perspective is pretty similar to what we're going to be talking about today. But I think my biggest and most pride-filled role is dad and coach of Franny Ronan, who is a fellow Special Olympics athlete of all of yours. She was the youngest athlete to participate in the 2018 USA Games as a gymnast representing the state of Washington. And I think it's credit to all of you guys and the system you provide for her that she was able to step up and be the athlete that she was during the game. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to all of you, and thanks for having me, Shalom.
Thanks for sharing, Mike, man. Really appreciate your support over the years so that the athletes can, you know, have the opportunities and experiences that they have today. So thanks again, Mike. We'll touch more on Franny and that relationship from a dad standpoint. So to kick it off, we time usually flies with this. So we want to rip through our questions. We have a great content for our listeners, and we want to make sure we get through all of them. But we'll start with Zack and Scott. You know, Lamar, sorry, Zack and Scott, Zack and Lamar. Lamar, do you want to start off by just sharing a little bit about, you know, our topic today is on, you know, athlete support network, right? And this could come in many forms. It could come by, you know, your parents, your coaches, your mentors, your teammates, counselors, volunteers. There's so many different people who have impacted us in our careers, in our lives outside of on the court, off the field, no matter what, depending on what sport you play. Lamar, do you want to share a little bit about your support network growing up, and how did that get you to where you are as an athlete at the elite level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I definitely had a vast network when it came to support. I mean, as I said before, I grew up in Boys and Girls Club, and the only reason I ended up doing that was because my friends in elementary were on a soccer team, and then they were trying to get me on a team for the longest time, and they convinced me to go to my parents and ask, and then obviously it's expensive playing sports at a young age, and so my parents were like, we're gonna go to the Boys and Girls Club, you can play multiple sports, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. And that was the idea. And so really got into soccer because of friends, ended up staying in soccer because of friends. I mean, I could talk about coaches, parents, friends, teammates, all that, but I'll start just with friends because that's how I started and that's how I kept going. I ended up getting cut from my club team when I was 11 and then 13. The same club team cut me. I kept trying out, but my friends were the ones who kept trying to get me to come back out each and every time. The second time I got cut, 6 or 7 of my friends ended up going to the team. They left the team after I got cut and came to the team that I was going to. And so just having that kind of backing and that belief and that camaraderie definitely kept me in playing soccer. And then even further than that, when I was going to college, my best friend was going to UNLV playing D1 in Vegas. He was one of 2 of my teammates going and playing in college. I wasn't planning on it. I wasn't recruited or anything. And he ended up telling the coach about me, and I was able to walk on at UNLV, wow. D1 soccer and try out just because he had put in a good word and believed in me. And so there are many examples of family, obviously, like as we talked earlier, Zack mentioned his mom driving him to sports. That was a huge one for me. Family, obviously, without them, I wouldn't have been playing. So I owe a great deal to friends, family, coaches who I still talk to and go to for advice that I was, playing under in high school. And so I just yeah, can't thank them enough.
Yeah, you definitely bring up a lot of great points that I'm sure a lot of our listeners could resonate with. There's so many different levels of support that we get from different people in our lives. That's a great point, Lamar. Hey, Myron, can you share a little bit about someone who has supported you throughout your journey? You talk about, state champion that you are. Who was someone that's, that sticks out to you that supported you along the way? Like, and maybe if you can, what did they do that you felt was of great support, if that makes sense?
So my supporter is my coach, Georgia McClaskey. She was like, she helped me out when I started out in the freshman year. Like, I was kind of feeling a little scared because I was feeling it was a new year for me, a new school for me after middle school, and so she helped me and she supported me a lot. She knows about me very well that me and her became our like a little buddy system, and so what do? Like, we help each other out, and like when I'm feeling really upset, she helps me calm me down and helps me with the strategies I have, and yeah, and so she does all these great things for me, like amazing things, and she helps, and that's how it began the journey. And then the year after that, we had the speech. I mean, sorry, it's just a little startling.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're doing great, Mark. So what I heard there was Coach Georgia. She not only gives you moral support, she was there to chat with you through some challenging times. You were able to find yourself again, to keep going. And look at you now, man. You're two-time state champion, and you're a senior, did you say, in high school?
Yeah.
And you have one more year? Well, hopefully, right? One more year? Or was this year your final year as a senior?
Oh, this is going to be my final year. It's just
wow. So you got more to come, champion. Thank you for sharing. That was really cool to hear. And just to our listeners, if you could use the chat function, we want to engage you, and we want you to feel a part of the conversation. So could you possibly type in one who, just like Myron explained, who was someone that supported you throughout your journey? And if you could, share what sports that you play as well. So use the chat function. Obviously you can feel free to ask questions to any of our guests, but we would love to know that as panelists, if that's okay. Right, guys? That's something that we want to hear about? Perfect. So, Kabir, do you want to share a little bit about somebody, or it could be a few people who have helped you? You showed us all your medals. Did you do that on your own, or who helped you? Who was someone that helped you along the way?
Specifics. In high school, in middle school, I was getting bullied by students and teachers. The students did what they want to do. But for me, how I gained so many medals and stuff, I was in high school, and I figured about doing nuts that many people were upstairs telling me about spread the word and the word to campaign, and I figured out myself that specific is happening, and I did before. That's why I found so many rewards. And the people out there for listening is I've been competing soccer for a long time, over 4 years, including about high school too.
Wow.
So also for swimming in 2010. Oops. So yeah.
That's awesome, Kabir. So what I got from that was the Special Olympics was a great support network for you. You met a lot of coaches, teammates. They gave you the opportunity to win the amount of awards that you have.
Yeah.
Geez, congratulations. That's really neat. Mike, you know, Kabir just mentioned that the Special Olympics has, you know, presented him some great opportunities to you know, and experiences to be able to express his skill sets and achieve what he has achieved. Could you touch on, like, maybe just some of the ways Special Olympics has supported athletes over the years? Just, you know, just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, and you know, I think when I started on the board of Special Olympics, it was really largely focused on sports as events. But over the years, you know, over the past 9 years, I've seen it really grow into, you know, we often talk about Special Olympics as a movement, not just a collection of events. And the movement is really around building the athlete into more than just an athlete on the field, but also allowing the athlete to learn new skills that they can take off of the field. And these are skills with their teammates, skills in terms of how they handle themselves in public. And some of the things that have come around, you know, of that, including this forum that we're having right now,
Right.
is, you know, athlete leadership forums, opportunities for athletes to actually participate on the board with us, because we understand as a board that we can't develop something for the athletes without the athletes being fully involved. And so we're really believing in the athlete's ability to be something more than just a player on the field or a player on the court.
Yeah.
And so I've been really happy to see how that has evolved and how all of you on this video conference are taking advantage of that in very different ways. And, you know, admittedly, it's a bit selfish for me because everything that we do for Special Olympics is part of the path that Franny is on to develop herself going forward.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I think about not just what the board has done for the athletes, but what the athletes have done for themselves and how they've advocated for themselves, the one thing that I'm proud of Special Olympics doing is giving that forum to the athletes to do that. You know, I think it's not the Special Olympics that I joined 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think all of you should be very proud of yourselves and happy because of that. You know, we're not 20,000 strong for by accident. It's a function of all the dedication of all of you as athletes, your coaches, your families, your friends, all the folks that are on this panel to really boost it up. And I think that's pretty impressive.
Michael, you brought up some really great points there about the infrastructure of the Special Olympics, so that you know athletes like Kabir and Myron can get the experiences that they have, right? So I'd love to again engage our listeners and use the chat function. Could you guys, without the volunteers, the coaches, right, who do the day-to-day work, could you guys possibly put on the chat function who your favorite coaches are that you've come across at Special Olympics? Here's a chance to highlight some of the coaches that you may have interactions with, supported you. It would be a great time to put it on there. But in the meantime, I want to shift gears and go to Zack Scott. Zack, obviously you have an incredible career. Could you possibly share a little bit about your journey and how your support network, how did that evolve over the years? And was it anybody in particular? Was it one person, a few people? Could you highlight them and what, I guess, what values they portray to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, I will say, you know, I'm definitely a little bit nervous with Myron and Kabir on here and the amount of trophies and medals they've won. Shalom pointed it out that I've only won one. So, you know, I feel a little overwhelmed with the athletes that these guys are. So credit to you guys for being just superstars in your fields, multiple sports. But to answer Shalom's question, you know, I think an athlete support network, it changes and evolves. You know, we point out, you know, the coaches, and we point out our parents, and we point out siblings and family members and stuff like that. And at various points throughout your career, you know, people are they're gonna move up that ladder of like someone that's like your person that you go to like bounce ideas off of, or who's there for you after a game. You know, growing up early on, out of necessity, it was my mom taking me to soccer games and signing me up and, you know, being there for me, and, you know, being a part of a single family household, that evolved to be like my best friend's dad, who was our coach during the time. And he to this day, he's still somebody that I go to get advice from. And then as I moved into high school, it became like it became teachers and coaches in high school that were people that I knew were there to support me, whether it was in sports or whether it was in school. Because my mom was doing the absolute best that she possibly could, raising, not one, but multiple kids. And then, moving on, as I became older and I had a chance to play professional sports, and then I got married and it became my wife. My wife was the person that I needed there to support me. And, she didn't necessarily sign up for it, but she also knew that, if I was going to have a career playing professional sports, that we wanted to do it together. And then over years it became my kids. Like, my kids were my actual support system. There's something to be said about playing a sport and that being like what drives you day in, day out, and you're so focused on that. But there's also the opportunity to remove yourself from that and just like, hey, live life as well. So having kids actually grounded me a lot and made me put sports into perspective. They've always meant a lot to me, but my family will always mean more. So I think it's a good thing. I don't think it needs to be one person throughout your entire career. I think you need to recognize that some people are going to float in and out, and depending on what your need is and their bandwidth, that's going to be what you get to be successful.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome, Zack. You mentioned so many different support networks along the way, different parts of your life. A question that came to mind. Now you're a dad, right? You're a father now to your kids, and you possibly doing the same for them, like your parents did for you, supporting them. So now that you're on that side of the fence, and we on the group chat, I'm starting to see everybody highlight their coaches. How important is it to show them that you appreciate that?
Yeah,
people along
absolutely.
the way. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. One of my biggest personal joys is not even necessarily playing. It's like watching my kids play, and getting to share some of my insights with them, but also just letting them develop into their own people and their own athletes. I think all of us in some regards are athletes, whether you get to a professional level or whether it's just something you like to, like Myron said, go for a walk with your dog or shoot baskets in your backyard. I mean, that you're still an athlete if you're doing that thing. So I think, I think there's an aspect of recognizing the people that have supported you, and also recognizing that, we're all athletes in our own regard.
Wow. Lamar, quick question for you. How have we talk about a lot of the people who have supported us along our way on our journeys, right? We had Coach Georgia from Myron. We got Special Olympics for Kabir. Lamar, could you share a little bit about maybe how you have supported someone, along their journey, and what did that look like from their perspective and your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once you realize and you start to appreciate what people have done for you, you feel like you want to give back. And I think that's immediately what happened to me as soon as I was a senior in college, looking at the younger guys coming up. When I became a pro and had a couple years under me and saw, younger guys coming in and asking for advice, it was a thing that I really loved doing was just sharing my experience, not even telling them what to do or anything like that, but sharing their experience, your experience, and then being there for them when they had questions. And I think that's huge, especially leading into professional sports. It's a difficult arena. And so to try to navigate that, I was definitely there. But even when I started back with the Sounders in 2011, starting a foundation and basically just giving back to those programs that I was a part of. So Boys and Girls Club and working with United Way and Seattle Scores, those types of things I definitely enjoyed, because I remember being the young kid, the ball boy for the Sounders, and helping out and trying to get an autograph. And so any way I could give back to the community that I grew up in, that's definitely what I wanted to do. Wow.
That's so great. Like, it's important that we show those who have supported us along the way that we appreciate them. And I think, as we recognize those who have been there for us, it's probably safe to say it's equally important to show them that we appreciate them, right? We got caregivers and parents who continually support us to take us, although we're in challenging times right now, but when the games were on, to our practices and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's equally important. So speaking of COVID, Myron, how has COVID impacted, I guess, your support network? How has that shifted for you during COVID, if that makes sense? Like, has before you could talk and interact with Coach Georgia, how has that changed for you now during these last couple months?
It changed me a lot. Kind of make me feel a little stressed, but I got used to it and getting used to the new normal. I'm trying to get out more often because I'm trying to get that sunny D outside, and so trying to walk the dog, trying to run, trying to ride my bike all the way down to the lake and back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you been connecting with Coach Georgia like on phone calls a little more now, or video, or as much as you could, or has it changed from Coach Georgia to somebody else, during these last couple months?
I talked to her was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I didn't talk to her that much because I think she's pretty much busy right now.
Right. Kabir, how about you, champion? How have you coped with COVID and your support network? Who's been, from a support network standpoint, who's been there for you during this, I guess, last 3 months as you train?
For me, anyway, I'm actually 20 years old. My birthday is coming soon, May 2023. My point is, I'm actually a store employee at Zack. I'm actually I'm a worker. COVID-19, knowing I miss work, the most I get vegetables. This year I was going to soccer for this year, and I heard that vegetables is getting canceled. Actually, and whatever. That's it. Goodbye. Yeah,
it's tough, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the only thing, really, great questions. That was the ending of the thing. I just want to say that.
Thank you, Kabir. Mike, do you want to share a little bit of these are challenging times, right? With our current climate that we face, like our games have been canceled. We're finding ourselves doing things virtually now. Do you want to share a little bit about some ways that we can show each other support right now? Like, what are some practical ways that we can show? We're all have teammates. Some of us, our listeners, could have teammates on the call. Something that they might resonate with. What's some ways that we could show support to each other now during these times?
Yeah, and I'll draw a parallel with what we're doing, at EY. It's sometimes the simplest gesture has the biggest impact. And I think what we've all found is that in the absence of being able to all come together either in the office or on the field during practice, what's missing is that connectivity, that connection with our friends, with our teammates, with our coaches. And, the simple gesture of just reaching out and simply asking, perhaps not even anything to do with sports, but how are you doing? How's it going? What have you been up to? I think often there are many personalities on every team, and sometimes there are pretty loud personalities that are always interacting and driving the pace. There are other personalities that are a little bit more quiet, but everybody has a fundamental part and a fundamental role in that team. And I think, for those folks that are leaders on the field and instigators on the field or on the court, be those instigators and those leaders in a virtual field, and reach out to your players or your fellow teammates and interact with them like you were leading on the court. I also think too that figuring out where everybody is in their journey with this whole virtual journey is really important. Some people may not like to get on a video. Some people might prefer to just get on a call. It makes them feel, try to meet them where they're at, and just create that connection. I think sometimes it doesn't even boil down to work or sports. It's just maintaining the connection.
Zack, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I love that. I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to be able to meet people exactly where they're at. I think Mike's point to some people, being happy to jump on a call where there's video involved, whereas others, are actually a little more private. I tend to skew towards the more private, but understand, that there is some necessity in like seeing people face to face. And sometimes it's just, an email or a text out to somebody to just, check on how they're doing. It's as simple as that. I think I think everybody's dealing with this situation the absolute best that they are, and there's no judgment with the way somebody's handling it. I just think we need to be flexible and willing to meet people with where they're at.
Yeah, those are really great points. And I think on the back of that, our goal for this as part of the Athlete Connect is to really engage with our listeners and really understand to our Special Olympic athletes, like, who out there isn't connected right now, and how can we help, right? And how can we be there from a support network standpoint? Are your coaches reaching out to you? So maybe that's a question that you could write on in the group chat. Not only who your coach is, but have they reached out to you in the last couple of weeks? Right, because our job is we could take that back and we'll provide that feedback, and we'll make sure that we, as much as possible, we're encouraging our coaches, volunteers, and even beginning with us, we'll make sure that we're reaching out and connecting with our athletes out there, because we truly do understand that these are very difficult times. So thank you, Mike and Zack, for touching base on the importance of communication and staying connected and finding the right ways that the effective ways for you and other potential athletes out there. Kabir, I think we got about a couple more minutes left, less than 5 minutes, but we got maybe 1 or 2 questions left before we open it up to the floor. We got more than 99 questions on the chat function, so we got a few to rip through. But I guess the last questions that I want to ask Kabir and Myron is, what do you think are some ways that that us as Special Olympics, what do you think that we could do to better support our athletes right now? What are some things that the Special Olympics can do today, moving forward in this current environment we find ourselves in? What's some ideas that you think we could better support our athletes? You go first, Kabir.
Yeah, I know exactly what to say. Go to specifics. Our website at www.specifics.org to learn more about more questions. That way, more people at specifics office will get the answer, or by either email them or phone numbers. And even my USA game stuff, I don't know, on a specific USA games website. You learn more, what to do. And if no one talks to me on the side, they can. I'll leave my email to them. I don't mind. I'll also some of their questions to them. You're on mute.
Shalom, you're on mute.
Thank you, Kabir.
Yeah.
Here's what I got from what you said. So you said visit the Special Olympics website. There's information on there. From our standpoint, we could maybe from a reminder standpoint, we could send out the coaches' area contact information again, their emails, so that you have their. We don't want to assume that you have it. We want to make sure that you're reminded about it. Reach out to your local coaches. You two are brilliant input council leaders. You guys as well, our input council leaders, that's why they're there. They're more than welcome to reach out to them. So we'll make sure that we don't just assume that they have this contact information, and we'll make sure we get that out again. So thank you for bringing that up. And also send an update on upcoming events, right, and how they can get connected, not just Athletes Connect. You got 30-day fit challenges out there. We got the Virtual Summer Games coming up. In fact, it's on Monday, right, Leah? We're announcing it. We're launching it on Monday, or August 3rd.
Yeah, the opening ceremonies is on
Yeah.
Monday evening. I believe it's 6 p.m. That'll be a live Facebook event. And then
is it too late? Can people still register?
People can still register, and
There we
even
go.
past the opening ceremonies, you can still register. The time to submit scores online is starting on Monday through the following Monday, the 3rd through the 10th. So you can still participate. I think there was a question out there inviting you, Zack and Lamar, to join the virtual game. So I'll send out the link if you want to learn more what that's about. I'm sure everyone would love to see some of your participatory videos. So yeah, absolutely. Everyone should learn a little bit more. It's a great way to kind of guide your at-home training.
Nice. And lastly, before we open it up to the floor, we got less than 20 minutes. Myron, what do you think? What are some ideas that, how can Special Olympics, better support our athletes today?
This question is kind of difficult to answer.
No, that's okay. Mike, do you want to help him out?
Maybe you can help me get off mute first. Yeah. I think, Myron, I think it's an open-ended question that Shalom is asking you, and it's an open-ended question that we're posing to all of the athletes. I think there is a lot that we have yet to learn about how to be better support networks for all of you. So any idea is a good idea. And don't shy away from any idea that you think might be silly, because there's no silly idea. So if you don't have an answer right now, type it in the chat later or call one of us and share it with us afterwards. But I think what we're hoping for is to get more input from all of you, because I think we're also recognizing that sometimes we're not as informed as we need to be the best supporters for all of you. So the more input, the better. But things like, if I think about Franny, what's important for the girls gymnastics team is repetition and structure. Some of it because of their ages and some of it because of what they're trying to focus on and build. And so Coach Elaine and Coach Rachel from Seattle Gymnastics Academy have been great enough all during COVID to have virtual gymnastics training sessions every Wednesday on Zoom. And so, if that's something that you think would be helpful to you guys, have that conversation with your coaches. Talk to your teammates and get their inputs around what they think might be helpful to keep them, to Shalom's point, competition ready when you're not physically competing. So all of those questions or all of those ideas are good, and don't hold back. We want to hear about them.
Great points, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. Leah, should we open it up to the floor now? Any questions that stand out?
Yes. Yeah, and so if anyone has any questions too, feel free to type them in here. My favorite one that I just thought was kind of fun was for you, Myron, and it says, "Are you really a swimmer, or is that just your last name?"
Exactly, I'm both. My last name is Swimmer, and also I love to swim. That's my favorite sport.
That's great. And there actually was, I think, another one in here asking again, Myron, what are all the sports that you play? As a reminder.
Bowling, track, and unified basketball.
That's awesome. All right, let me see here. Well, okay, so we had another question about, so this was actually a question that came up. We have, for those who don't know, we have athlete input councils, which are groups of athletes who meet once a month and they talk about things that they think we should change within the organization, and then they share that feedback. And there was a concern brought up last week about wearing face masks when we get back together and how we can do that as we're playing sports and what's the best way to do that. And somebody brought up the suggestion of asking professional athletes if they think about that and what kinds of masks they wear. And we actually got a kind of a similar question today, so maybe that's a good time to ask. I don't know if any of you have thoughts on that specifically.
Yeah, I'll say that my kids have started up youth soccer and wear masks. They show up to practice in masks. They practice in masks. It's definitely we laugh about now when you walk out of the door. You grab your keys, you grab your phone, you grab you grab your wallet and you grab your mask. Like it's just, I think if we're talk about it and we're open about it, and we push people towards recognizing that it's not only safety for you, but it's safety for everybody else, then it becomes less of something that has a stigma against it, and more of hey, this is just a part of the situation that we're in right now. It's a good thing. We're keeping everybody safe and limiting spread. And also we can do our sports and be successful at the same time. So we've coached them on it and told them, like, hey, it's not going to last forever, but right now, we're going to keep everybody safe, including your teammates and coaches, and yourself. So this is just our reality for right now. But again, I think it's just being like open and honest and talking to people about it. It can be done. I saw, an article on the news the other day about a doctor that, ran 22 miles, to work, to his shift, and he wore a mask the entire time. And, it can be done. It might be uncomfortable, and it might not be what you want to do, but the reality is we just have to do it now.
Thanks for sharing. I know we've had a lot of athletes who have been really active in being concerned to making sure that everyone is really understanding how important it is. So I think that's a great question, and definitely important as we're, all as we're starting, maybe walking around a little bit and just trying to keep everybody safe. Another question we had is, this is for everyone, what is your favorite moment when you play sports? So I think that probably could be open to a specific moment or a general moment. Kabir, do you have a favorite moment a favorite time from playing sports?
Definitely soccer and basketball. Definitely, I'm unified. After we work as a team, having fun, specifically in soccer. One time, my friend scored 7 goals. Guess how many I scored? 10. So 17-2. First the Emmons. Goodbye, Emmons. So yeah, I'm really good. Here's soccer.
That sounds like it must have been a great game.
But yeah, great.
Myron, how about you? Is there a favorite moment from playing sports that you have?
Oh yeah, at the Stinky Shoe game, we usually have an annual Stinky Shoe game. Mariner hosted it, and the biggest moment I had was we have the most players on the bench that I never fought, and my moment was shooting one-handed basket and made it in. It was freaking awesome. And at the same time, we had a national banner.
That's awesome. What is the Stinky Shoe game?
Stinky Shoe game is like our tradition for our schools. Like Mariner and Kamiak, we come together and compete in the Stinky Shoe game. And this year Mariner hosted it, so we had to play at their gym. And then hopefully next year, probably like that, we probably get the gym. We probably host that game. So yeah, that's what Stinky Shoe game is.
I love it. That sounds like a good tradition.
I wanted to say something too. Someone asked a question to Michael. I was wondering how is funny these days? Starbucks, all the way to the top.
How is what these days?
I don't understand that question, but yes, something like that.
Was that was that in the chat, or is that your question?
In the chat after saying I'm a big fan. All the way to the top.
Okay, I'll look for that one. Would anyone, while I'm looking for that, would anyone else like to share about a favorite sports moment?
I don't have quite the same sports experience as all of the other esteemed panel members here. But what I love is seeing either a team member or just another athlete who has stated a goal that he or she wanted to achieve, and either in competition or in practice, when they hit that goal, just seeing the elation and the joy on their face because of that achievement, that's probably gold every time. I think it's fantastic. And by the way, Myron, when you said Stinky Shoe game. I thought my girls have been playing Stinky Shoe game every day because we've got a little Stinky Shoe going on in our in our house.
Yeah, I think just as an athlete, my favorite times were kind of losing yourself in the game and in the competition with your teammates. So that can be anything from at practice, competing against your teammates, but having a good time and just enjoying the sport, and like everything else is forgotten. Everything outside the sport is kind of outside of your thoughts, and you're just enjoying it and having a great time with your friends at sometimes. So.
Nice. I think I'll combine the answers and my one with Myron playing basketball, doing his incredible shot, Lamar enjoying himself. I mean, I think one of the most profound moments in sport for me personally was when you, and it happens just, not only just, professionally, but even just casually, when you practice something at training and it comes off in the actual game. Like that, because you have a laugh around with your friends, and then when it comes off on the actual game, that feeling is incredible. And only because you know how much time you put into practicing that. So just a small one on that front.
I love that, Shalom. That's so true. You often get to just watch athletes in during the actual game, but you miss out on all the time it took that goes into practice and stuff like that. I think we can all, if we're all honest ourselves, the reason we play sports is because it's fun, like flat out. Like we just love, it's just fun. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Like, and if you go into every practice or game or opportunity to play sports as like hey, I do this because it's fun, then I think you're going to get a ton of value out of it. And to this day, when I retired, the game was still fun. Could I do it as fast or as good as I could when I was 20 years old? No, but I was still having fun. So I think no matter what sport you play, you do it because it's fun and you enjoy it. And whether it's a personal sport or a team sport, it's just fun. I think we can all go back to that.
You just defined passion, Zach. I love it.
That's great. Okay, I have one more question, and we'll see how long this one takes. But the question is, how do you support yourselves as you're maybe dealing with challenges, or as a player on the field? How do you advocate for yourself and make sure you're doing well? Kabir, do you want to start? How do you support yourself?
For me, anyway, I've been speaking. Maybe have other steps years ago. So me being out there doing public speaker, I've been scared at all 100 people. But for me, do know who I am and be strong about it, and that makes me happy and strong. So.
I think that's great advice, to know who you are and be strong and happy with that.
Yep.
That's great. Myron, how about you? How do you support yourself?
Just not giving up on yourself and just trying your best and all you can be. That's all I got for now.
That's all you need, Myron.
No, those are two amazing ones, and you guys are spot on. Like being happy, and just enjoying it and trying hard. That's kind of all you can do, right? I think for me, it's the same thing. Just kind of having that belief in myself. That's how you support yourself and get through tough times. Know that they're not always going to last. Even the situation that we're in, it's not always going to be like that. So make the best out of it while we can.
Yeah, there's a word that we throw around a lot in the corporate athlete world. I have to say that because I'm not an athlete like all of you, right? But resilience, I think, is a really important word, especially in the time of COVID. But I think resilience is a really important word in the world of athletics. Kabir, I like what you said, say knowing who you are and being happy with that. That is, I equate that to self-confidence. And I think every athlete who does well it's rooted in their self-confidence. And I think, Myron, what you said, it ties to persistence, never giving up, keep going at it. And I think those two things together is the definition of resilience. And if all of us around this call and on the phone and on the video can, keep being confident in ourselves and keep trying despite us stumbling, that's the definition of resilience. And that's how we'll get through COVID. That's how we'll get through sports. That's how we'll get through life. And I think Kabir and Myron, I think you summed it up for all of us. I appreciate what you said.
Yeah, easy because I am a good skills leader, number active leader, and anyway, yes. And Nancy have question to Leah, saying, can all trouble that the what I don't know how to say before us the athletes?
Yes, I see that one. So that was a question from Lizzie, and she was asking, I think about how everyone is dealing with not having applause or recognition with sports these days. And so we don't have a ton of time, but maybe a quick 2-minute response on that one, if anyone has thoughts there. So Kabir, thanks for jumping in and showing me that one. I think she's asking right, you have a ton of medals there. That's so awesome. Is it disappointing that you're not able to compete and earn those medals right now while our season is canceled?
Well, yes. Besides what I did my gold medal, I have it. And when I go to state, so not enough people to come in the team. So I just dumped it. And I knew already what going to happen to the Pacifics in the cancer. But when I was safe from basketball from last year, I knew what would happen in the next year. So yes.
Yeah, and I think exactly, it is really hard, and so that's why it is so important to be a support network for our teammates and for friends. And by doing everything you just said about believing, knowing who you are and being happy and never giving up, I think all of those things are really important to helping other people around you and maintaining that support network. I think it's all, I love it, Kabir. I think it's all great advice to be sharing with everyone. We have just what was that?
Go ahead. Daisy had another question to Moran. Do you feel you're missing out on getting standing ovens and something?
I think that's the question. That's one we just answered.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Thanks for catching it. But we have just a few minutes here, so before we do a little wrap up, does anyone have any other last thoughts that they'd like to share? I think this has been really awesome. Shalom, thanks for facilitating here. Okay, well, I'll just share quickly. I plan to send out an email to everybody who is on our call here with some of the current events that are going on at Special Olympics to stay connected and stay supported in any way that you can. We have these calls every other Thursday and some other virtual events going on. I also will send out contact information for our local volunteers. So if your coaches aren't reaching out right now or you'd like to be more connected, you can contact them and feel a little bit more supported right now during a challenging time. But
hey, Leah, can I do a really quick shout out? We talk about the importance of the support network, but I really just want to shout out how important and how consistently important the Seattle Sounders and the Seawolves have been to Special Olympics and to all of the athletes. So on behalf of the board, on behalf of the families, and more importantly, on behalf of the athletes, I just want to thank you guys for always being there for us. It means a lot.
Thanks, Mike. I agree. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to be here and to share your experiences and be a part of what Special Olympics is working on. So it means a lot to everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, dude. Nancy had a question. We already answered a question already. So you know what to do with that.
That's okay. Thanks, Kabir, for checking in.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Thanks, everyone, so much. I hope you have a great evening, and you'll be hearing from us soon.
Thank you, Leah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Bye.
Keep it close.